Welcome to today's episode. We have a very exciting guest joining us. For those of you just joining the podcast, we are GDG Media. We specialize in helping staffing and recruiting agencies scale their revenue. So if you want to learn how to take your staffing, recruiting, or search firm to the next level, make sure you stick around. And if you're interested in a free growth consultation, drop us the word growth in our DMs. Carol Ann, thank you so much for hopping on today.
Wonderful to be here, Jason. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So you are the CEO of Wentworth Executive Recruiting. Do you want to do a quick intro about yourself, maybe a little bit about the company, and then we'll hop into some questions?
Sounds good. Yes, we actually are going to be celebrating our 10th anniversary next month. And I purposely chose intentionally to start my own firm 10 years ago and use a mindful approach. And when I say that, I've been in this industry for over 35 years, and I've recruited in every discipline you can imagine. And I actually had started in search at the young age of 25. And it's when I launched my first startup back in the Midwest. And it was an international modeling and talent agency. And I had been a talent and I had did TV and print work back in the day. And I just kept seeing these great faces. And I would send them to my agent. And one day the light bulb went on. And I thought, I need to start my own firm. And so for 10 years, I had an amazing run placing talent all over the world with the Eileen Ford Agency out of New York. I share that because I was doing the mindful approach 35 years ago and it didn't have that name. Fast forward ahead to today, when I introduced that concept, with my clients here in the Bay Area, they were very grateful. They saw that I genuinely cared about their company and the energy that I would bring into it with a person that I placed. And so I was very fortunate to align with a couple verticals that I was passionate about, one being commercial building. And the reason I fell in love with that discipline is that my father was a custom home builder. And I grew up in the built industry back in the Midwest. And I found, Jason, that they were the salt of the earth people. They were just good humans that loved to build things. And of course, just seeing the things my father built and then my clients, what they build in the Bay Area, it's inspirational every day. And so it's easy for me then to get excited about that search. My other vertical has been renewable energy. And I'm a passionate environmentalist. I have been for 40 years, and I want to leave the planet better for all of you young people. I have two amazing sons and a couple grandsons, and I just want to do my part, and however that is. So I ended up aligning with this gentleman in Silicon Valley who has a global tech company in the solar vertical. And it was interesting because friends kept saying we needed to meet. We had the same mindset about, global warming and issues. And so when we met 10 years ago, he had given me a challenge. He said, I want to see how good you are. And he said, I would love to talk to this gentleman out of his biggest competitor because I don't want to hire him because I know the CEO. I just want to have coffee. Can you do that? I said, let me get to work for you. So I called him back I don't know, it was 3, 4 hours later. I happened to know someone that knew the person he wanted to talk to. So I reached out because I believe you never know till you ask. And my intention was purely to get them together for coffee. So I got David on the phone and I said, hey, do you want to have coffee with the CEO of, XYZ? And he said, I'd be honored to. And so I called the CEO back and I said, Friday at 10, can you do that? He goes, done. And that was 48 placements ago. We literally were brought in to help him build his team. And we did some global placements over the last few years. And I got to tell you, Jason, it was an honor. And then they went public. So I outsourced myself because they needed a real HR department. So the blessing there was that I learned so much about what's going on in the environment, renewable energy, technology, and yeah, it was pretty cool.
That's awesome. That's an amazing journey. So let's rewind a little bit. When you first started on your own, what would you say was the biggest challenge that you faced early on when you first started your agency, and how were you able to overcome that challenge?
Um, I think, like any startup, and definitely for me, I had been known from working with other people. And so my biggest thought was, where are the clients going to come from? How am I going to find them? And I am not one of those people is an aggressive marketer. I believe that if you do what you do very well, um, the business will come. And so, having said that, I did have people show up for me that built my website, that helped me with social media. And my husband happens to be an award winning writer. And so, he started to design content for me. And he would say, just do what you do best, start talking to people. So, so I would say the first thing was, where are the clients going to come from? Because I also had to sign some NDA, you know, uh, agreements with prior people that had retained me to do contract work. And so I knew that there were companies I could not touch, and I was okay with that. So then I
Right.
shifted my focus. And 10 years ago, I started attending every wonderful building conference in San Francisco. And that is actually where I met one of my biggest clients. And I heard him speak. And Jason, I just wanted to meet him. He was so down to earth. And we were standing in line at lunch. And literally, he's 6'3" and I'm 5'4" on a good hair day. And I just, had said to him, your talk was such an inspiration. And I love how authentic you are. And I said, did you help build the Marin Civic Center? Because I live in Marin and I pass it. And in fact, the building was used in Back to the Future, the movie. And I said, because I read an article that Rossi Builders built that. And he looked at me and he smiled. He said, that's amazing. He goes, my grandfather built that. And with Frank Lloyd Wright, of all people. And I love that because my dad was a huge Frank Lloyd Wright person. And so he hands me his card and he said, I want to see you in my office next week. And that was 15 placements ago. And from that, his circle of friends saw the good people at his firm and he referred me out. And I just trusted the process, Jason. There was no spin, there was no hidden agenda. I
Right.
really simply love connecting people,
Right.
to good possibilities.
Yeah. No, I think that's awesome. So I guess moving on to my next point here. So obviously, um, super saturated, super competitive market. I think everyone thinks that they can be a recruiter nowadays because it's just so, in my opinion, it's gotten a lot easier to be a fake recruiter, I like to say, because it's just a push of a button and you can, connect with all these people. Um, how have you seen the process of recruiting change from when you first started to now 10 years later with the advancements of technology?
Excellent question. I was just having this conversation with my husband the other day on a walk because you would think with technology and text messages and LinkedIn messages, LinkedIn groups, FaceTime, we go down the list, right? Instagram, Facebook, you name it, it would be easier. The truth is, from my experience, because again, I do not spam people. I am not one that um, will send out 100 emails and hope somebody reacts to me or responds. Or even on
Right.
LinkedIn, I have more people always ask, "Oh, I'll send out 1,000 messages," and I said, "And are they going to be personalized?" And they're like, no. So what I've seen the difference and what I have found has been my gift, if you will, is I'm high touch. I am personal. And back in the day, I literally would send packets to clients, that we were working with. I was trained under one of the most amazing search firms in Minnesota, in Minneapolis, and a gentleman in the Built area. And I saw the way he did his process with such integrity and grace. And he always would say, it's a relationship. These people matter, right? And so I was already doing that with my modeling and talent industry, with placing people around the world with agents. So when I took that and applied it to retained search, personal, meaning if I want to recruit you, I am going to know everything about you, Jason, that matters. So when I reach out to you, I authentically looked at your profile. I studied who you were. I looked at your Facebook, looked at your Instagram, know that you love snowboarding in the winter or whatever that is, because I also know what my client's energy is about. And I also know that my clients are all into health and fitness. I mean, seriously, it's a big part of the game. And I'm into it. I've been a passionate health and fitness person my whole life, because I know it brings a better energy to the conversation, right? And I just feel better. So, what's really different, while there's a lot of technology and the AI conversation, which we can get into in a little bit, um, I find very interesting in the recruiting field, because they say it's going to make it easier and better, and they can send you more profiles. And I did experience that with LinkedIn Recruiter recently. And in fact, I spoke to my account director the other day, and she says, well, how are you liking it? And I said, Allie, I'll be real honest. I said, I think there's good things, definitely good things. But you all sent me 50 profiles. It had the same title of the post I had, but it didn't have the details that I needed, that my client wanted, meaning my client wanted this person 30 minutes from the office. Most of these people were an hour or two, because then I'll go into it deeper to see where their location is, because I'm not going to waste your time as a candidate and say, Jason, I'd love to have you consider this opportunity if you're not going to drive an hour and a half. And who's going to drive that, right? So, how I'm different and what I see. I think technology can be good. I would probably say my favorite is the text messages, only because most of my candidates, we establish right away the agreement that I will never ghost them. They will never ghost me. Let's just communicate, right? So I get that set up right away. And and then from there, um, I just think it's a dance. I mean, it's just different every day.
Right. Yeah. I think that's just being an entrepreneur in general. It's everything's different every day. I agree. Um, so let's move the conversation to AI, like you had mentioned. Are you utilizing AI at all, and why or why not?
I am. And actually, I encourage all my candidates to get out ahead of it, because it's here and it's happening. And so rather than being in fear about it, I believe that I'm a curious person and I love to learn. And so my husband and I had just signed up last week for a 21-day challenge on a program called Coursive. So it introduces you to 21 sound bites of AI. And actually, I have found it very fascinating in the different verticals it's being applied. So that is relatively new. But a couple years ago, I started to use Chat GPT strictly to see if it could help me create my job postings better. I wanted to see what maybe was out there on the web that I could aggregate, right? And see. And while it has given me some good outlines, I definitely go in and personalize everything. So it's
Right.
not a generic, right? And then the other way I love using it is with Canva. I do a lot of creation with Canva. Um, and so, you know what, I just tell people it's different, but we all need to embrace it. And however that is for you, it's interesting in every vertical, well, except there is one that it won't touch. And it's in my discipline, which in the building industry, I was talking to one of my clients the other day, and I said, just for fun, I put in how many jobs will not be disrupted by AI. And the beautiful thing is the trades, the electricians, the plumbers, the sheetrockers, the roofers,
Right.
you know. And I thought the beauty of that is we need more of those good humans. And because I think the United States got too far over the last 25 years into service industry, and we're seeing that shift big time with AI, right? I mean, data analytics and researchers and things like that. And so if you can build something that's going to last and be around, and the way AI is supportive of that, I've learned, is it can help with drawings, it can help with proposals, it can help with bids, but the human still has to put that information in there.
Right. Yep. Yep. Now, do you think eventually it gets to a point where the human doesn't have to do that?
You know, I we keep having this conversation, friends of ours, and of course we've had really good careers, and we're over here where a lot of the young people. Um, no, I don't see AI being the end all. I really don't. I think what I'm seeing, and I actually talked to a psychotherapist about this, a friend of mine a few weeks ago. We were at a retreat together, and I had asked her because she said she's meeting with a lot of clients right now that are fear of losing their careers. And she said what she tells them is add AI to your career to make you better. So when she got into that with me more, I thought, you know what, that is brilliant. It's one thing to learn it, but if you can be a master of it, you know, so you're directing that narrative. And honestly, Jason, if people can take the fear away, and of course that's a human nature thing, and have faith in yourself and your abilities. And I've ridden this wave for, like I said, 35 years of recruiting. And and I've had people before say, you're too nice, you know, blah, blah, blah. You know, you shouldn't spend so much time with people. And yet um, my career has never been better, you know. So I'm not afraid of AI. I don't think other people should be either. Just get out ahead of it, learn it,
Right.
you know.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. So last two questions here I want to touch on. One of them being if we were to sit down on the same podcast 12 months from now, what type of goals would you like to see accomplished in your business for you to say, Jason, I had the best 12 months ever. Here's what we accomplished, XYZ.
Oh my gosh, I love this question because we are getting ready to launch an 8-week program, online program called Unlocking the Career Code to a Mindful Career, the Mind, Body, Soul approach. And it's my life's work. It's a passion project. I spent the last 2 years writing and editing, and we are in the process right now um, to launch it. And so, my intention with it, Jason, is I want to help people navigate not only the conversation of how you step into a mindful career, because that's a big difference than a job. And I think anyone can get a job. And I've had a few of those when things shifted in my life. Um, but I've had an amazing career because I was always intentional. And so I want to share that wisdom. And one of the things that years ago, I had gone through a really rough divorce. This is over 30 some years ago. And at the time, uh, I kept attracting other negative kind of situations. And I thought to myself, why is this? So I started therapy. And my therapist literally said to me the first day I met him, Dr. Richard, and I'm doing a piece on this program called "You Are Not Crazy. Your situation is crazy. Let's get to work." And I can say in 4 sessions, he had me so laser focused, got so clear on my values and how that tied into my career, right? Because here I had this 10-year run. I had my own TV show. I was known globally for placing talent. I was in and out of New York and LA several times a year. I loved my career. It was amazing. And the divorce really took the wind out of my sails. And so when I started writing this program, and what I'd love to see, a year from now is I would love to be able to help over 1,000 people, if not more, be able to say, it's okay. We got this. I know how to navigate this conversation because I created a list for this program too. And I was actually sharing it with the psychotherapist, and she said, "This is brilliant." And what I did, Jason, is I created an it list, meaning we've all been through it. We all have an it. What is that? Do you let it define you? Is it one of those things that hooks you into, a negative thought pattern, or does it keep you thinking this is all I am, this is all I can do? And I don't believe that. The list came due to personal experiences. And 20 out of the 50 things I listed I've experienced. And, so I come from truth. And I've owned my own companies. My husband and I had several coffee houses. And we, and in 2008, we lost one in Sausalito, and we lost everything. We literally lost our home, had cars repossessed in the night. We went bankrupt. Our son at the time was only 7. And today he's the rower above my head because he's my inspiration. He's 25, and he we were with him up in Bend, Oregon recently on a wonderful hiking unplugging trip. No phones, no tablets, nothing for a week. And he said, "Mom and Dad, I want to thank you for showing me resilience and commitment." And he said, "You two stayed together. We didn't go sideways. We didn't do drinking or drugs or divorce," which a lot of our friends did in 2008 because they couldn't handle the shift. And I said, "The blessing for me, Jason, that showed up is it got me back into search, doing what I loved. It was that my husband wanted to do this coffee house and build a community, which we did. We put our life savings into it and lost that. It was very entertaining.
Yeah.
In fact, my friends that know us, I said I could do stand-up comedy. I said because the truth is when you're at the age we were, and you're stripped of everything materialistic, and you just have you. And thank God, my husband, my younger son, now my older son, who's also an inspiration, he's in Dallas, Texas, and he has taught me so much about how to be tougher, I should say. And I'm grateful every day for him. But why I say that is that we all have an it. We've all gone through things, but I never let it define me. I just knew, and that it happened, right? And it's happening now at a fast pace. And that's why I really want to do this course and help people get grounded, take a walk, be present. Journal, do things that matter to you. Because if you don't, you're going to keep getting these lessons. until you stop and say, yeah, I'm pretty good. I'm pretty cool. And
Right.
then work from that space on finding a career. I can tell you your energy is so different, and it's not ego, but it's about being grounded and present in your purpose.
Right.
Yeah. So that's what
Thank you
I
for
can't wait to,
sharing that. I love that answer.
well, I can't wait to see you in a year and we'll celebrate because,
Yeah, yeah, we'll have to have you back on the show for sure. Um, so last question here before we wrap up. I know we're getting short on time. If we were to hypothetically give you a magic wand to fix one thing in your business today that you feel is holding you back from reaching your goals, what is that one thing that you would fix? And this would exclude any external factors. So this would only be something you could fix internally.
probably to have an amazing ATS system, applicant tracking.
Mm.
Um, we have a version, we have a smaller one. I never invested in the really big companies, but, and why I say that, so that I would be able to retrieve, different conversations easier, right? Um, that would probably be the one thing that comes to mind today.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for hopping on the show. If you want to do a quick outro, let people know where they can find more information about yourself and the company, and then I'll wrap up some things on my end.
Oh, wonderful. Well, I'm grateful to have met you and to be on your podcast. And if people want to know more about either executive search and how to retain us, or our course coming up, Unlocking the Career Code to a Mindful Career, you can message me on LinkedIn. You'd find me at Carol Ann Wentworth. And also, if you want to get a copy of our book, A Mindful Career, which my husband and I wrote, it's on Amazon, and it is a roadmap, literally. That's 30 years of work that we combined down to a beautiful roadmap on how to do that. And I am good about getting back to people because I believe if you give me your time, I want to honor that. I think it's a gift. And yeah, start the conversation on LinkedIn.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, thank you again for hopping on. As always, anyone listening in that might have a staffing, recruiting, or search firm looking to grow their revenue, make sure you drop us the word growth in our DMs and we'll set up that free growth consultation.